Hi, and welcome to Business Advisory and Tax Tips. Today we'll talk about second stimulus on the verge of actually happening. But first, I'm Michelle Burke, coming to you live from Annapolis, Maryland. Many of you know that after 30 years as a CPA and in the corporate tax world, I went out on my own in January and formed Health and Taxes. There are only two things certain in the world: death and taxes. I'm here to help you flip that to health and less taxes. I come to you live on Facebook and on YouTube every Wednesday at 5 p.m. to bring you an update on the stimulus update. Sometimes I bring you business advice and tax tips. Today, with the pressing stimulus update, we'll keep it to that topic because I know a lot of people are interested in what is going on. So let me recap kind of where we were. So last week, there were two proposals on the table. One was a $908 billion bill. It was a bipartisan bill that included unemployment, but it didn't include a stimulus. And then we had the $916 billion bill that Mitch McConnell was supporting, that had it had some unemployment, right? So what do we know now? So now what we know is that the $916 billion bill that I talked about last week, and you can go back and review I'll post it here, from last week when it told you the details of that. That $916 billion proposal is basically dead in the water. And why I state that is because Mitch McConnell and his team came out yesterday or late last night and said that they are basically supporting part of the bipartisan bill. So remember, the bipartisan bill was $908 billion. That is made up of two components. One component was $748 billion, and we'll go into the details in a minute, and the other was $168 billion to state and local governments. And if you recall, the two main sticking points have been House Democrats have been pushing for state and local funding, and the Senate Republicans have been pushing for liability protection. So there's been a lot of talk, and Nancy Pelosi wrote a letter a week and a half ago stating that she might be willing to back away from state and local if the liability protection was backed away. So both groups are coming together and they're backing away, putting aside those issues for now, with the hope that they can get something through this year prior to the Christmas holiday or the holidays, and before the Congress and Senate go back on recess, right? So they know, because Biden has been saying that there'll be more stimulus package, there'll be more COVID relief in the new year. At least they'll be coming to the table discussing it again in the new year. So both groups are putting aside for now state and local funding and liability protection. So where we're at is we're looking at this $748 billion bill. And in that $748 billion bill, just as a reminder, one key provision is $300 a week of federal unemployment assistance, and for 16 weeks, and an extension of all the state unemployment for another 16 weeks. So if you're coming up on, you've maxed out your unemployment, you'll get an additional 16 weeks. And so that starts, there's no retroactivity, that'll start, if this passes, that would start January 1st and run for 16 weeks. The second thing in this bill is a second round of PPP, and some for any employers who have less than 10 employees who didn't get the first round, they can also get a first round. There's money in there for vaccines, testing, and tracing. There's money in there for schools. There's $13 billion for the SNAP food assistance. There's $25 billion for rental assistance, so that's a big one. So part of that is to bring rents current, and then pay forward on rents as well. So there's $25 billion in there. There isn't a whole lot of specifics. Remember, this is just draft. This is just negotiations. This is just talk. So $25 billion to help bring that current. There's also money in there for transportation, which includes airlines, buses, subways, trains, and $10 billion for the post office. So what's not in there is a stimulus check. However, today, what we've heard is that a congressional progressive caucus has come forward. There's about 100 House members in this caucus and 1 senator, and they have said that take the $748 billion bill and add to that a $600 to $700 stimulus check. So not the $1,200, but a $600 to $700 stimulus check. So that's what we're hearing that there's some support for. They're not saying any specifics. There aren't any specifics on, last week we heard about this possible $600 stimulus bill that came in that Mitch McConnell had proposed, right? He had I said it backwards before. He had a stimulus, but not unemployment. The 916 that's dead had stimulus, but no employment. And that stimulus was $600 per adult and per child under the age of 18. So we don't know where that might go. So keeping in mind right now that the omnibus appropriations to keep the government going is the deadline now is Friday the 18th. And Mitch McConnell is stating that they are not going to leave. They're not going to go on recess until a bill is passed. That includes COVID relief. So they were taking that omnibus appropriations bill and adding onto it a stimulus bill, right? So Mitch McConnell is saying no one's going home from the Senate until something is passed. But keep in mind, to do that is still, it needs to be fully drafted. It needs to be a bill. It needs to go through the House, the Senate, and through the presidency. So they were expecting that, hopefully, to have something today to start through the House, the Senate, tomorrow, and the president on Friday. So that has not occurred yet as of today. But we did see several of these leaders negotiating late into the hours last night. So it's possible that they will continue negotiating and get something done. So will we see something Friday? Maybe they will have something proposed and drafted ready to vote on, but maybe that'll occur next week prior to the holiday. And now that we know Thursday, the 24th, is technically a holiday now. It's been declared a holiday. So hopefully by the 23rd, we will see something that goes all the way, passes into law through those 3 different forms of government, right? So that is what I have to bring you today. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we finally are getting somewhere. There seems to be a lot of encouragement to get something passed, and especially what seems to be different is that they're putting down what they can't agree on, putting that down to bring that up again in the new year, and sticking to what they do agree on. So whether that stimulus will, so very likely a stimulus will get back in there, whether it'll be the 600 or whether it'll be more. We'll have to see. Remember, the $1,200 stimulus that we had before was about $350 billion. So to get the same as we had before, plus they wanted to add elderly dependents and elderly college-age children, right? So it would be more than the $350 billion. But just understand that that's almost doubling the package that they have right now in front of them. So there seems to be stated that there is agreement on the $748 billion without a stimulus, but perhaps they can also get that second stimulus check in there. So that's what I have to bring you. I will be back next Wednesday hopefully with some really good news that something actually has gotten done. But thank you for joining me, and I will be back at 5 p.m. Eastern next week. In the meantime, if you catch this on replay, I will post my YouTube channel, Health and Taxes. Please watch it on my YouTube. Consider subscribing, liking, commenting. Let me know what else you would like to hear about, and I will. I'm happy to accommodate that and to talk about anything that you would like to hear about. So thank you, and thanks for stopping by.